Hello! That's the dim sum talking.
I'm highly energized off of pork fat and shrimp, and here we go. Episode 488.
68.
88, 68, 5,000.
We'll get there eventually.
I mean, we will. And looks like we got some dark today. What is this?
So we are drinking something very special in the sense that it's hard to get.
Cool.
This is some 2013 Yunnan Sourcing Xiangming Yiwu that has been stored in Malaysia.
Very interesting.
For about, I think, 6 or 7 years.
Huh.
So this tea was bought by my friend Meng, and I have a cake of this too, actually. And he decided to bring some of his tea back to basically Malaysia and store it with his family. And so he recently went to Malaysia and brought it back and gave me a sample. So
sweet. Super excited.
So yeah, it is dark looking.
It looks
certainly
pitch
compared
black
to my cake.
Yeah.
And excited to try this again. I had this once with him, and now having it a second time.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. That's so cool too. I mean, hard to put that kind of a thing together where you can drink something that's been same year, same production batch, but stored in two different ways to be drinking the difference between the two. So this is a good treat. Got a really sweet nose. Not so dark, I guess.
Yep.
Oops, sorry.
You good?
Yeah. Okay, I am curiosity piqued.
Yes. So yeah, having a Yunnan Sourcing tea store like this is certainly unique, and the only other time I've had this is also from Meng. So
Cool.
It is some unique storage to have for a tea like this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Get a little cloggage there, which might got the toothpick handy.
And we just had a whole mess of dim sum. So good. Oh my god. If you guys haven't had dim sum yet, but you're drinking tea,
Yeah. So this episode and the last episode are kind of the opposite in terms of where our stomachs were at. Last
100%.
episode, stomach's empty. This episode, stomach's very full.
very full.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Wise Fat Buddha tea sesh. Here we go. Beautiful color.
Yeah, not too dark.
Can smell this again.
We'll see how that color develops. And when I did have this with Meng, it did take a couple steeps to really get going in terms of like kind of the maximum impact. But
Cool. I'm very, very curious. I'm trying not to burn myself here. Ooh, hot. It smells quite fruity. That's
Indeed.
sweet. All right. Nice orange liqueur.
cheerio.
Cheerio. Down the hatch. Ha.
All the way down the hatch.
You can't get me now.
One of these days, I'm going to pretend like I'm saying something stupid. You're going to take a sip and I'm just going to shove you.
Yeah. That'll be a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually I'll die on the show.
Yeah.
Somehow.
It's going to end in one of those like kung fu freeze frames where you're just like, whoa! Yeah.
Quite hot, so I need to get this cooled down now. Some kind of tart citrus little thing going on in here. It smells very different than it tastes to me.
Yeah. A little medicinal. You can definitely still taste some bitterness to this, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty thin to start, frankly. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It's potent.
Yeah, a nice sweetness to the aftertaste, though. I do feel like that's where kind of that Yiwu-ness comes across. It's not... It's bitter, but it's not overly bitter.
And what's the age on this?
10 years.
Okay.
I feel like those kind of younger grassy notes, which are still present in my cake, are pretty much completely gone from this. There's kind of like knocking off sort of that mid to top range of notes. It's definitely like mid to lower register. But I wouldn't say it's particularly dank.
No, tastes quite clean. A nice kind of tannin-y finish, a little bitterness as a result of that.
Yeah.
But not like overly bitter. It's not like gasoline-y, it's not peaty, you know.
No, not at all.
To your point about the grassiness, that can kind of evolve with the age to something a little bit more smoky and peaty.
Yeah.
Really different.
Smells fruitier than it tastes right now.
Absolutely. And it tastes sweeter, it smells sweeter than it tastes too, at least to start. Interesting. I agree, it doesn't have a lot of the brightness that you could sometimes get from some Yiwus, especially greener ones. The liqueur itself is betraying the age, as well as potentially the oxidation when the tea was pressed.
Yeah.
And then I think the storage on the Malaysian storage probably, like to your point, has kind of really accelerated the tea. So, you know, interestingly, looking at the leaves themselves in the cup now, they are, you know, you can definitely tell that they're quite green to start.
Yeah.
That color was quite striking.
Yeah. And, you know, that is something that's not uncommon. It's like leaves can look darker, and then when you hit it, this is why it can be important to tell sort of the biological maturation of the tea when you have fully wet leaf. Like, even now, they're still changing. It's like after you're done with the session, dump them out.
Right.
See what color they actually are. And if they are pitch black, that storage is probably pretty strong.
Yeah. Or it was roasted or something like that.
Right. But this one, I mean, the dry leaf was darker, and you could tell that the leaves are slowly lightening up.
Totally, yeah. Understand. Really strong mouthfeel, or residual flavors.
Yeah.
Steeping 2, here we go. Cheerio down the hatch, etc.
You're just like preempting.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to come up with some new material.
Comment below. Comment below on how you can punk Denny. Here we go. Quite different, which is really interesting and fun and puzzling. Hints of sweetness, maybe a hint of sort of kind of a currenty, fruity thing going on a little bit.
Yeah, slowly edging into that. I'd still say it's on the subtle side of things. But yeah, it does hint at those darker fruits.
Lovely mouthfeel.
Yeah. Mom test?
No.
Ultralight?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to brew this exactly how we're brewing it to have this taste good. I can see this being brewed incorrectly pretty easily. I think, the pour is a little bit slower on this pot. I think in general, this would take a while to go Fu style. But the heat's working for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say this tea takes a bit to get going too.
Yeah. It has this earthy. It's like I know this category, but placing what it is in that category is challenging for me. It's not like it's earthy in a kind of a vegetal way. It's not sort of desert rock flavor, earthy, minerally. I mean, a little bit of all of that, but anyway, I'm having a hard time placing it.
I feel like it's more earthy with like sort of hinting towards those dark fruits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and initially this is one of those teas that's like upfront, not very sweet, but actually it is quite sweet in terms of aftertaste and sort of what lingers in your mouth. Yeah.
I would definitely put this as kind of a tea drinker's tea.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, to be clear. Someone who's, I think it's a pleasant, interesting tea. Absolutely attention demanding.
Yeah.
A tea that I'm still strongly tasting right now. So always kind of a delight to drink something like this on the show.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, again, like scratching your head on what am I getting out of this? That for me is a lot of the enjoyment of tea. I love the familiarity with the flavors that I'm so accustomed to that I can say, you know what, I'm going to grab you and you're going to taste exactly what I hope for you to taste like. Delicious. But, sharing something like this with a friend who's going to also be like, this is kind of different. It's fun.
And I do think you could probably brew this lighter if you wanted to increase likelihood of pleasantness, but you lose a lot of the interesting stuff about this tea too.
Okay, steeping number 3.
Yep. And I'm going to work on steeping number 4 here. I did just reboil that water, as you probably heard. Probably should have reboiled it earlier, just judging by how long it took to boil that. So, My apologies there.
Hmm.
We're doing some SAT words. I can tell whenever Danny looks up into the
God.
corner. He actually has.
I
An
did not
SAT
do very well
dictionary
on the
up there.
SAT on a relative
He's
basis.
like hitting the little prompter. He's like, nah, not that word.
I actually have
gardenias,
augmented. Oh my God, I'm spilling all over myself. Augmented lenses for ChatGPT just to feed me the most esoteric and long multisyllabic words. There you go. There's a couple. Boom. Anyway, no. I'm having a hard time not placing it in like a how do I feel about it. I'm enjoying it, but placing it in more of like a there's stuff going on here that I don't. And it's to be clear that I'm not being able to like pinpoint, and it's not because it's light. It's not because it's subtle or something like that. It's just like pretty different. I mean, I don't think I've like had a tea kind of like this before.
Yeah. Well, it's such an interesting combination because like. We've had plenty of Malaysian stored tea. We've had plenty of 10-year-old tea. We've had plenty of 10-year-old Yiwu tea. But have we had this exact combination of a Western brand with an Yiwu tea that's been stored in Malaysia? And the answer is no, because it's kind of hard to find stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I do think it belongs in a lot of familiar genre categories, but it blends them in a way that it is kind of unique. And I will say, I do quite enjoy this tea. In fact, I actually enjoy the Seattle stored tea version. But it does kind of land in this stuff. I don't think it's quite awkward. I think it's a little bit beyond that. But there's a little bit to this that, it takes some thought to really appreciate.
Okay, bear with me.
Here we go.
I'm going to say there's kind of a saginess to this tea.
Huh.
It reminds me of like Yakima after like hiking up in Yakima after the water has after it's rained and stuff. There's kind of this like sagey but herbaceous, but not. Sometimes there can be this sort of like terpene, piney kind of flavor that I'm not getting in this. That I would normally accompany with that sort of sage taste. Something that would be a little bit brighter, a little bit sharper, that isn't quite here. Maybe it's been aged out a little bit, but there's still this sort of like, steak that's been brushed with a sage and butter sauce kind of thing. Bear with me on that one.
And this episode has been sponsored by Yakima Valley Sage. Go down to the local Yakima.
Oh my God! I am sorry. I don't mean to mean myself.
I don't know. Well, if you are from Yakima, shout outs to you.
Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
The Tannum Ridge. I've hiked in this one specific ridge line. You go up to a big crest. It's not very pretty. There's nothing out there. But
come on, sell our sponsor.
But you could go out there in early or late season. And the most beautiful part of that hike is you go after the rain has fallen, and the smell is just remarkable.
Anyway, drink this next to. Okay. I do think it's becoming a little more focused. For me, at least, it's simplifying a little bit, but kind of in a nice way. Getting kind of this fruity, more of an upfront fruity sweetness to this. Yeah. So I think it just takes a little bit to get going, and this is true of the session I had with Meng too. Yeah. So.
I do taste more of the fruity and sweetness up front now. Now it feels a bit more like we are actually getting into that Yiwu locale. Whereas before, I definitely would not have been able to place this. Still not saccharine sweet like you can get in a lot of those Yiwu teas, right? No. But really nice.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah, I think this is a nice tea, and I think it has been aging reasonably well.
I was just going to ask the question, where do you think this tea is going to go?
I would think it'd just continue along the trajectory. Probably, actually, I think this last steep is probably indicative of kind of where it's going to go. Like, not lop off a few more of those kind of more confusing notes that are higher, and just kind of become this fairly basic but like nice woody, dark fruit, sweet Yiwu. That's about where I'd approximate it, probably in like 5 years or so, if of more Malaysian storage.
It's so interesting. It's almost like it's peaty a little bit. It's almost like it's a little bit smoky. It has a little bit of that fermented green earth flavor somewhere, like a whisper of it. Again, I'm gonna wax poetic, but really interesting, quite different.
Pretty clean too. If we're
Very
going to
much.
comment on the storage
Absolutely.
and stuff. Yeah. Shout outs to Meng's family and
Yeah, good job.
KL.
Yeah. Very different. Quite green now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you can really see the age on the, to your point about biological age. Yeah. Forget about it. I like it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Cheerio.
Cheerio.
Down the hatch.
Down the hatch. A little bit more floral sweet. Quite good. It's funny to say this, but I feel like it's getting much easier to drink.
Yeah.
But you kind of expect some of these teas to lose some of the high notes as you brew them through. And I think what's happened here is that it's really not that we're losing the high notes, but those low register notes have been emboldened for the first steepings 1 through 5, and now we're getting into a bit more that's softened, and now you can taste a bit more of the total spectrum.
I think the focus of the tea is a little more apparent here. I think those first few are a little confusing.
Much
That
sweeter.
is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
To see.
And I do wonder, again, in 10 years, is this going to be, are we going to lose a lot of that sweetness that you kind of almost expect from a young Yiwu, or are we going to kind of have those bold flavors settle down a little bit, and then you're going to be able to see a bit more and taste a bit more of that sweetness? It'd be interesting to tell. I would love to be drinking this in 10 years and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that this tea isn't ready today. I think it's really interesting and pleasurable to drink today. But I could see it.
Yeah. I mean, it still has, especially those first few steeps, it still has an edge to it.
Absolutely.
You might not be able to guess exactly what this tea is, but I think you'd be able to tell this is a raw Pu'erh.
For sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Really interesting. Thank you, Meng. Cool. Yeah. This is fun. Does he sell tea?
No.
Shout him out?
Yeah. That's the Kung Fu laugh tea.
Got it. Okay.
Buy the tea.
Well, go find some weird teas. I don't know. Make some tea friends. Go to the Discord. I don't do it because I'd be humiliated. But
they have memes of you there, so you're effectively alive there.
Thank you. Yeah, my spirit through stupidity lives on proudly in the Discord memeverse. But just find tea friends, and you might be in some small town, but hey, who knows? Maybe there's some other weirdo like you who wants to drink some tea and talk about it. And if not, you can always tune in to us two weirdos. tdv.org is the website. Subscribe, like it, send this to your dog, send it to your cat, send it to your mom.
Watch episodes 1 through 667.
Yeah. You better get caught up, or else. Oh my god. I'm sure we'll see you next time.
Peace!
Oh.